Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Let me get this set up. Okay, just one moment. Okay, I am back and with another session where I'm talking about how your voice still matters, what to journal when you don't know what to journal, and all that good stuff. So, um, all right. So if you can hear me, welcome, 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 welcome to another Saturday session on journaling. Um, Previously, we showed up and talked, well, that's what we talked about, showing up for ourselves. We talked about like returning to our sacred space of journaling, finding a space, creating a space to write and somewhere to physically put what it is that we want to write. We talked about how sometimes you may step away from your space and come back, and you don't want to feel like that you've abandoned your space. Um, Sometimes you can take a pause and come back. We've also talked about like what what do we write? You know, if I've had people asking me like, what do you write, what do you journal, like they want to get started with journaling but they don't know what to journal. So there's so many things. Journaling is not always about like your daily activities. I've mentioned in the past how I journaled Bible studies, things that I'm learning on my own. I've wrote out things that I'm learning for free. Like there's so many free resources. There's a library, there's online libraries, there's YouTube, there's Google, there's so many platforms where you can learn things. I have a binder. I'm not for sure if you all have seen online that people are creating their life curriculum for their self, and it basically just tells like you just basically make out what it is that you want to learn for yourself. And I've done that, and I put down different things that I want to learn. Some things does require a small investment in yourself, but when you're trying to grow, you will invest in yourself. So I am back with a session um, still about journaling, but what I am journaling now is basically getting ready for the rest of this quarter, like mapping out. I'm journaling. I This is the journal I normally write in, but for this particular topic, I'm going to be writing in this journal. This is the things that I have in here are related to what I want to journal today. So I'm trying to see where I'm at, like during the quarter. What have I accomplished so far? Um, what is it that I'm still trying to accomplish? These are the things that I'm journaling at the moment. So I want to know, where am I going for the rest of the quarter? And who am I becoming this quarter? Those are the things that I am going to be journaling. So this is time to reflect, to see how far you've come in this season, because it is a season. Um, so I am going to go over some notes that I have on things to help you get prepared for for the rest of the quarter and to prepare for the new quarter. So I'm going to put that right there. Okay. So let me go ahead. First, I need to get logged in. Alrighty. Okay. So here we are. So I got my notes. I am I am going to be writing in my journal, but also I'm going to be doing a mapping out things on just some plain computer paper. So this is our Saturday afternoon journaling session. So today, basically, we're just going to be learning how to reflect on where we are and intentionally decide what we're going to do for the rest of the quarter into the next quarter. So, by the end of this session, I hope that you'll be able to name what truly matters to you right now. I want you to be able to identify where your voice has been. Excuse me, you'll be able to identify where your voice has been silenced in your own life. Um, you'll be able to write a clear focus for the rest of the quarter and create a vision statement for your next quarter. Those are things that I want to help you get to in this journal session. So, so this is where we're going to slow down. This is where we will listen inward, and this is where we will remember that our voice still matters, not just to others, but in our own lives. Quarter one. Okay. So today we're not just planning goals. We are asking, have I been listening to myself? Sometimes we have thoughts of things that we want to do, but then we'll brush them off like, yeah, I can't do that. No, write that thing out. You'll be amazed at what you can do for yourself. So we are going to go ahead and title. I'm just going to title for today's page. Go ahead and write that in my journal. So our today's title, also make sure you date your entries because you want to be able to look back and see like, wow, I come this far. So my title is going to be My Voice, My Direction. And of course, you can create your own title to resonate with what's going on in your own life. So I'm going to divide my page into 3 sections. So I think I'm going to do that on this and then I'll transfer it over. So let's see. This is my title. So it is My Voice and My Direction is the title for today. So the 3 sections, section 1 is going to be where I am right now. And this is another way how I journal. I may start off on a piece of computer paper or either some lined paper, loose leaf paper, and then I may transfer it over to my journal. That is the designated sacred space that I store it in. So, so where am I now? And also, let's see. I think I'm kind of mapping this out as I go. right now. 2 is the rest of this quarter. And number 3 is my next quarter voice. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see if we can relate something on my laptop. Let me go ahead and log that on. So, where am I right now? So, in this section, I want you to first think about, where do I feel unfulfilled? Where do you feel unfulfilled? Okay. So I want you just to really think about that. Where do you feel unfulfilled? Where are some places in your life? Is it your career? Maybe you feel like you're working in a career because you're just doing it for the money. I mean, yeah, of course have to we have to eat, we have to live, but who wants to live somewhere where they feel unfulfilled? Where, if it's in your career, where would you truly want to work? Hold on, I need to log on here. Alrighty. Also, let's see. The next question is, and if you don't know, maybe these are some questions that you have to really think about for a while before you can answer them. If that's the problem, or not problem, because it's not a problem, if that's the case, just go ahead and write these down. Just go ahead and write these down, and you can answer them later. So I put mine in a trifold. Right here, I have, where am I right now? In the middle, I have the rest of this quarter, and over here in the third slot, I have my next quarter voice. So, okay. The next question is, where, this is, all of these questions that I'm giving you right now are under the first column. So these are all questions for the section 1. So our next question is, where do I feel stretched thin? Where do I feel stretched thin? this is okay, this pen I've been wanting to use. So where do I feel stretched? And also, where do you feel unfulfilled? I also want to add to that, where do you feel fulfilled? Where are the things that fulfill you? You know, the things that you like. Do you feel productive? I have some notes right here also on my computer. Do you feel productive but overwhelmed? Do you feel stuck in routine? Do you feel like I've been pouring into everyone else? Do you feel distracted? Or do you feel spiritually disconnected? And then the things that fulfill you, do I feel proud of how I've showed up? Um, I've been consistent in one area. I've grown emotionally. I've handled hard situations better than before, or I'm more disciplined than I was last quarter. For the stretch thin, you could say, I say yes too often. Maybe you're always saying yes to everything, and when you really don't want to do it, but you say yes. I don't protect my time. Maybe you set time for things to do, but you put them off because for whatever reason you don't protect your time. Maybe there's a TV show coming on, and when you already know you set that time out to write or work on your business, you put the TV show in front of that when you can, we know that's going to be on again. And with all the apps, you can always click back on there and watch it again. Maybe you could say you feel stretched because you haven't made space for rest. Maybe you just go to bed late because you're doing everything you have to do around the house for the day. Um, Instead of mapping out time to do these things, or I overcommit and under execute. So those are some things. I'm just, and if this is too much, you can always come back and watch the video, um, where you can pause it and listen to what it is that I have stated, the examples that I've given you. Alrighty. So my next prompt is, where have I been quiet when I should have spoken? Okay. So if this little trifold thing doesn't work for you because I'm kind of running out of space, you can just use like a whole sheet of paper and write each section on one, two, three sheets of paper. Or if you know exactly what you want to write, you can go ahead and directly write it into your journal. But with these questions that I'm going through right now, it's like I need more space. So I'm just writing it on this paper because I know how I write. So it works best for me to write it on a separate sheet of paper and then transfer it in my journal later. I know it seemed like a lot, but that's just what works best for me. But you do what's best for you. But I still want you to get all this information to help you navigate through this quarter and the next quarter. Okay, so let's see. So for the prompt, where have I been quiet when I should have spoken up? So if you're not sure like what this looks like, I have a few real life examples. Let's see. You could say, well, if for example in your career you could say, I didn't ask for the raise that I deserved, or I stayed silent in a meeting when I had a good idea. Sometimes you have a good idea and you might say, oh, they don't need what I have to say. My idea is small. Speak up. You'll be amazed at what you have to say that can actually help somebody else. So, or help the business or the company. I mean, sometimes those might be ideas for our own personal growth, but I'm just saying. Or you could say, I accepted extra work without speaking up. Maybe you didn't want to do that work, but you were trying to, be like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do it. And you really didn't want to do it. You did not want to do it, but you did it anyway. Let's see. You could say, I complained privately. This is something you could write for your journal. I complained privately, but didn't address it professionally. And once again, this is answering the prompt, where have I been quiet when I should have spoken up? So this is what this journal prompt is. Hey, Luana, welcome. I am here, Luana. I am talking about, I have been doing a series on journaling. I have a lot of people wanting to journal and not knowing how to journal or what to write. So, what I'm going over today is we're journaling for our the rest of our quarter and on to our next quarter, and we're going over three sections on where am I right now, the rest of the quarter, and my next quarter voice. So that is what we're talking about. So it's going to be recorded. So if anybody wants to come back and listen to it later, it'll be here. So that is what I'm doing. So thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. Yeah, journaling is powerful. When you write things down, it becomes real and you start have to hold yourself accountable for it. So that's what I'm doing. So thank you. So again, where have I been quiet when I should have spoken up? It could be maybe I didn't say how something made me feel, maybe in a relationship. You just sat quietly. Also, maybe you avoided a hard conversation. Maybe there was a conversation that needed to be had, but you avoided it. And sometimes people think like their silence is best, but silence is not always the best. Sometimes people need to hear what they need to hear, and you can say what it is you need to say respectfully. It doesn't have to be harsh. You can just be firm and let them know that you're serious and what it is. Maybe there is when you were quiet and you should have spoken up. Maybe you didn't. You allow patterns to continue. Maybe you have somebody that, let's say, for example, that's always borrowing money and they never pay you back, and you keep letting them borrow, and that's like becoming a pattern, and you're like, okay, I know they're not going to pay it back or whatever. So that's something you need to speak up. You can't let, maybe this is a test for them to start showing up for themselves and make their own money. But maybe you just always providing money to them. Maybe you're blocking them from their growth. So that's something you need to speak up on. How about in your finances? That's something you can be quiet when you should have spoken up. Maybe you're avoiding looking at your bank account. You know you need to do better, but you don't want to look at it, so you just ignore it until something, a big expense come up when you should have addressed it. And that's something personal. Maybe you need to invest in some things. Maybe you need to pick up some maybe side hustles to bring in some extra income. How about I didn't negotiate when I could have? That's something in your finances. Maybe you should have negotiated something. Maybe you just went ahead and settled for less when maybe something that you had to offer was worth a lot more than what you settled for. Okay, so moving right along, I have in the second section the rest of my quarter. All right. So I have written for the rest of my quarter, and again, I'm writing my stuff on some computer paper, and then I'm going to transfer it later into my journal because I write sometimes big and messy when I'm mapping out things, and I may not even. I'm just writing some of the questions out. I may not be able to answer all of my questions that I came up with in one sitting, so I'm just writing them out and jotting down a few things. And later, I may come up with some more ideas that I can put in that section. So, this is just the way I journal for this particular session. Some things I can write directly in my journal, but for this session, I am writing it out on computer paper, and then I'm going to transfer it. So the rest of this quarter, if you need ideas to focus on, you can consider your health focus. Like maybe you need to walk 3 times a week, drink more water, cook at home more without going out to eat, improve your sleep routine, reduce sugar. Those are some things for your health focus. Your financial focus, maybe you need to save $500 to $1,000. You can break that down. You can go off of your paycheck. Okay, how much of my paycheck can I put aside to save up to? Let's just start with $500 and give yourself a timeline. When do I want to have this $500 saved in my bank account, in my savings bank account? And so that way you can break down, okay, if I want it by this date, I need to take out maybe $25 or $50 by this date to add up to the 500 or $1,000, just however much you want. Also, you could track your spending weekly. That's something for your personal growth. Personal growth, maybe you need to read a certain number of books. Maybe you need to journal daily. Maybe you need to start therapy, practice speaking up, or learn a new skill. Those are things for your personal growth for the rest of the quarter. Creative hobbies, for example, start painting, learn how to crochet. Maybe you like photography, learn a language. For myself, which I probably would put this in a personal growth, I want to learn sign language. So I think that would be something personal to growth. It's for me, it's another way of communicating. So also learning a new language. So I guess that would fit in maybe the personal growth, creativity type. So that's somewhere in there. And maybe your spiritual focus. That's another thing you can focus on for the rest of the quarter. Maybe you need to do morning devotions. Maybe you can do prayer journaling. You can write out your prayers. Gratitude practice. So if you need to write that out, you could put for the rest of this quarter. This is how you can start this prompt out. I will intentionally, I can't talk, focus on, say whatever it is you want to focus on, and your why. Because, let's see, let's see, all right. So you could say for the rest of this quarter, if it's health, I will intentionally focus on my health because I've been neglecting my body. So going along with the section two, the rest of this quarter, which is the middle section, if you did the trifold, you could say, if I had courage, what would I commit to before this quarter ends? If I had courage, and I know you have courage, but if you feel like you don't, I want you to write it out because we're going to bring these things to life. Writing is really powerful. Journaling is so powerful. So that's why we're writing these things out. So how about you could commit to, say, you're writing a book. If you have the courage, you would write the book you've always wanted to write. Maybe you feel like that nobody wants to read my book, or whatever that negative stuff that we tell ourselves. We're going to stop that today. We're going to start living on purpose. We're going to start speaking. And instead of saying, I've, if I had the courage, you can rewrite that and change it, like turn it around. Like, I will commit to this, that this quarter, before this quarter ends. I will commit to whatever it is you want to commit to this quarter. That is what you're going to write. So you can X out if I had courage because you got courage. Or you can say, for the rest of this quarter, I will intentionally focus on. So, um, if you just have one thing you want to intentionally focus on, because sometimes we can give ourselves too many tasks and we just kind of get overwhelmed and we don't know what to do. So just start with one thing. For the rest of this quarter, I will intentionally focus on the rest. Focus what do I want to focus on? Okay, I know what it is. I have a lot of things that I'm working on this quarter, but one thing I do want to focus on, and it doesn't have to be something serious. I used to read a lot of books. I was an avid reader, and I kind of got away from reading. I let work, the classroom, if you work in education, you know that can be a lot. Um, I sometimes do what I told myself I would never do is bring work home. And we working on education, you sometimes don't have time to do work at work. So when I got home, I would put off my reading and work on work. So I am going to intentionally focus on reading more. Okay, so moving right along, we're going to move to our last section, which is my next quarter voice. So let's go ahead into that. So for this section, I want you to not just to write goals, but I want you to write who you are becoming. So you can say more disciplined. That's something I'm working on, being more disciplined. That's why I'm showing up here. I'm doing this for myself as well as others who, you know, may be inspired by it, hopefully. Um, by next quarter, I am, maybe you're financially aware, you're physically stronger, you could say emotionally steady, speaking up for myself, launching what I've been delaying, consistent in my daily habits, calm instead of reactive, investing in myself or prioritizing my peace. These are some things of who am I becoming? These are just some examples. Maybe you have something else, but I'm just trying to give you some examples if you're struggling with what or how to answer that question. So maybe I am someone who keeps promises to myself. I am someone who follows through. Or you maybe I am someone who finishes what I start. I know a lot of us start things and maybe you started something back in December or back in the fall and you didn't finish it. Well, now today, go ahead and write it. Bring it back to life. Don't just say, well, that's done, that's old. So don't cancel the goal. Just change the plan. Bring it back to life, okay? Maybe a boundary based identity. Maybe you no longer tolerate chaos. I no longer ignore my needs. I no longer shrink myself, or I no longer wait for permission. Um, Maybe you've been someone who always waited for someone to tell you, yeah, that's good, you should do it. No, you just go ahead and do it anyway. Don't wait for somebody to approve what you already know is good. You know that thing is good that you started. So just keep going. Don't wait for permission. So if you're still kind of stuck in this section, um, I want you to maybe say by next quarter, I am becoming the version of me that by next quarter, I am becoming the version of me that, and you fill in wherever you know you need to fill in. The next prompt in that section, section 3, what version of me is waiting? What version of me is waiting? Okay, so for that section, what version of me is waiting? If you're stuck thinking about it, let's see, you can say maybe there's a version, um, there's already a version of you that already exists. So um, you're just waiting on your decision. So basically, you could say you're waiting on the discipline the healthier version of you, the confident speaker of you, the financially responsible person version of yourself, the consistent creator of you, the peaceful version of you, the organized version of you, the version that follows through. Those are some possible ways to answer that one. So I'm going to write the actual version that I'm waiting on. I'll jot a few ideas, and later I'll probably fill in even more. The next section is, what habits do I already have? Let's see. These are some possible answers I have just to kind of help you. Um, you could say, I show up even when I'm tired. I care deeply. I'm responsible. I'm organized. I already journal. I pray consistently. I wake up early. I'm resilient. I track my spending, excuse me, or I make time for others. So those are some possible things that you may show up for. Also, just know that growth is not about becoming someone new. It's not about becoming someone new. It's about strengthening what's already working. So maybe you have some things that you're working on, but you're not being consistent with it. So just that's basically what it is. Just strengthening what you're already what's already working for you. The next one is, I have two more, and then I'm wrapping this thing up. I didn't know it was going to be this long, but here we are. So that's why this will be saved, and you can watch it later. And I will probably transfer it over to my YouTube channel because I think Facebook's only saves the lives for 30 days. So, alrighty, what do I no longer tolerate? So you could say I no longer tolerate disrespect. So this is where your clarity gets bold. You can say I no longer tolerate disrespect. I no longer tolerate chaos in my space. I no longer tolerate excuses for myself, overthinking, overcommitting, your financial avoidance. You're gonna look that app. You're gonna go to your bank app. You're gonna look it in the eye, see what your habits are, your good habits, your bad habits, and you're gonna fix it. Don't ignore it. I no longer tolerate emotional drain. So those are some possible examples that you could fill in if you're stuck, just to kind of help you get to where you need to be. So basically, what you tolerate will continue. So make sure what you tolerate is something that resonates with your spirit and it's positive. So what you decide against will change. So just kind of let that sit in. What you tolerate will continue, and what you decide against will change. So I think we're at the end. So basically, make sure you're keeping a calendar. Your calendar reveals your priorities. So, and your energy reveals your values. So you could say, which is our last thing, what do you prioritize? So your calendar will reveal your priorities. So that, I'm sorry, that is the last prompt. What do I prioritize? So if you don't know, go ahead. Do I have my calendar? Nope, I don't have it with me. But you're gonna look at your calendar. What do you put on your calendar? You just have work related stuff. You have doctor's appointments and all that stuff. That shows your priorities. Make sure you have some things on the calendar that are for yourself. So, do you you want to make sure you have those doctor's appointments? That means you prioritize your health. You want to make sure you have, maybe you can put like when bills are due. Maybe you prioritize making sure you pay bills on the due date. So that can be something. Um, make sure you have dates to work on certain projects that you know. Make sure you have deadlines. Don't just have, I'm going to work on this today. Make sure you have a deadline. You have to have a deadline. You can't just work on things forever. I mean, you could. Some things are meant to work on forever, but like things that you're trying to um, publish or release, they have to have a deadline. So you could say, let's say, going into next quarter, I prioritize, maybe say blank over blank. I prioritize maybe over, I prioritize saving and investing over overspending on things that don't matter. Or I prioritize maybe uh, cooking at home over going out to eat all the time. It doesn't have to be something extravagant or whatever, just whatever it is you feel like you need to start prioritizing. I prioritize peace over people pleasing. I prioritize consistency over comfort. I prioritize long term growth over short term feelings. I prioritize discipline over distractions. So, so that is it. Those are all the prompts. Those are the three sections and the prompts that I had. Um, that's it. So basically, in closing, you don't need permission to grow. You don't need a new year to reset, and you don't need validation to change directions. Okay. So your voice still matters. The question is, are you listening? Hmm? Are you listening? So if this helped you today, um, whenever you see this, I want you to type "My Voice Matters" in the comments. And that is all. Just make sure that you listen to your voice and that you act on what it is. So, um, if you didn't get to write all the prompts down, if this kind of went, a little quick, because I didn't want to be on here this long, but I, did, and I'm glad I got through everything that I did. So now I am going to take everything that I wrote and transfer it over into my journal in my little quiet journaling time. So find your space and answer those questions. And I hope this helped to give you some idea and some clarity on what to journal, maybe for the next quarter and on to the next quarter. So thank you and have a good rest of your day. Bye for now.